about water loss, then it really creates a maintenance nightmare. It's additional staff and infrastructure, additional dams or reservoirs, and high maintenance costs to fix leaks. And one of our other lighthouse cities, Tokyo in Japan, back in 1979, before they started their switch to stainless, were engaged with over 180 leaks per day. Now, during a sort of 24-year period, they shifted to stainless steel service lines, and there was some further work to improve. But in 2019, they were down to 18 leaks per day, a huge reduction, an order of magnitude reduction. So that's 90% less resources required. It was very simple and huge savings. So water loss, however you look at it, creates this swarm of unmanageable polluting maintenance activities, and they truly are unmanageable. What's the solution? Well, the solution is to change those whole service lines to a stainless steel solution, and this is a stainless steel solution with much fewer joints. It's a partially corrugated tube, so you can bend the pipework to fit, and you just have a coupler at one end on the saddle into the mains line, and at the other end to the meter to the property. And these sorts of stainless steel products, which are becoming widely available now, are made with 85% recycled content. So it starts to fit against the green initiatives and the circular economy too.
So when we look at the different kinds of steels, they can be broadly classified as carbon steel, alloy steels, stainless steels, and tool steels. And of course, we will be focusing today on the stainless and high alloy steels, but the cast form is essentially the origin for all these different grades. And the cast form is typically then hot worked or cold worked to realize flat products or long products, and this is basically the wrought world as we understand. But contrastingly, in case of casting, the castings are directly used. That means, as I mentioned earlier, it's normally done by pouring the liquid into a mold, and it takes the shape of the mold. And this component is subsequently machined, or it could be heat treated before it is being inspected and shipped to the customer. Specifically, stainless steels and high alloy steels are used where the service conditions are very demanding, and the conventional steels would fail to perform in this kind of conditions. So let's move into the alloys and processes very briefly. So stainless steels and high alloy castings basically can be used either for aqueous corrosion or for high temperature corrosion resistance. As I mentioned earlier, they are used for demanding conditions, and by aqueous corrosion I mean uh, corrosion resistance in the form of localized corrosion, corrosion against chloride containing media, corrosion in acidic environments, stress corrosion cracking, sulfide stress cracking. These kind of forms of corrosion where we need to have material which are resistant to this kind of degradation. Then we have stainless steels and high alloy castings, which can be further classified either as iron based or nickel based. And within the iron based world, you have the ferritic castings, the martensitic stainless steels, the austenitic stainless steels, as well as the duplex stainless steel castings. The nickel-based castings, either in the form of nickel moly castings or nickel chrome moly containing castings, are used for the most demanding conditions where you have very low pH and higher temperatures, as well as high chloride containing environments.
So, for example, if you talk about the stimulus packages, this graph shows the fiscal responses as percentage of GDP for the top 5 economies in the world, be it US, Japan, Germany, India, or China. As you can see that there has been huge stimulus packages announced by the different governments, which are running up to more than 50% of the entire GDP. For example, in case of Japan, followed by US, which was 27%, and then Germany, India, and China. But if you extrapolate it and include other countries as well, you will see huge amounts of fiscal responses or stimulus packages announced by different governments, which has led to excessive liquidity in the system. Similarly, if we see the on the graph on the left hand side shows the interest rates trend, And you can see towards the end of the graph, there's a big drop in the interest rates, which is almost like a vertical line, from 1.5 to 2% is practically at 0%. So this graph is for the US government, but in all the countries, be it the developed, practically in all major countries, be it developed countries or the developing ones, you are seeing historical low interest rates, again adding to the excessive liquidity.
For stainless steel is increasing, but historically it's been a bit of a problem because the international specifications have not really catered for stainless. So the calculations have had to be bespoke. But from this autumn, stainless steel in buildings becomes part of AISC 370, along with the associated design guide update. And then next year we expect in Eurocode 4 stainless steels in composite structures to be part of that specification. So there are changes now underway that will make selection and design of stainless steel in buildings and structures much easier. And I think with the oncoming climate change issues, it's not a choice, it's an imperative.
So, India is a huge market of stainless steel, and the total size is somewhere maybe more than 2.5 million tons. And of course, typically, the availability of scrap has been a challenge because it's a very sort of a developing country, not a very developed country when you compare, especially if you compare with US and Europe, which have been the typical hubs of stainless steel consumption and production. So, but as the economy grows and going forward, the industrialization is happening, and more and more applications of stainless steel are getting adopted, and it's becoming a choice of material because of its inherent properties like sustainability, and it's a green material. So I do see that the availability of scrap will definitely improve going forward, and that's been a focus also of, I guess, major stainless steel producers spread throughout the world and in India as well. That due to it's a green metal, it's totally recyclable, and being environmentally conscious approach of all the stainless steel manufacturers, the usage of scrap, I think, will continue to go up, and the scrap ratios probably, as I think Tim also mentioned briefly, it will go around, it's somewhere around 50%. And India definitely, I think, has to catch up to that level. And in fact, the developing countries, they are increasing their scrap usage more and more, when it comes to stainless steel production.
Cast iron has been used and continues to be used, of course, for cooking, because you have a much faster heat transfer. If you look at the cast iron, and that means essentially, you're looking at a faster cooking time. So, but cast iron also has its disadvantage. You can't keep it for long. It's very heavy. It's quite difficult to use it. And in a fast-paced world, where not necessarily the wife has to be in the kitchen, but also both the husband and the wife have to share the duties at home. I think people are moving for solutions which are basically lighter weight construction, more hygienic, optically better looking. So of course, in all these aspects, stainless steel scores. And I think that's very important. Why I mean that more and more focus is being given now for stainless steels, as well as I find in general more and more people using now metal utensils rather than there used to be a wave some 20 years back where plastics were fashionable. It was nicer to have plastics, but now I see at least there is a people are returning back to metals.